Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your throat is sore. You have a nagging cough. It's the 1930s. So you do what any sensible person would do. You go see your doctor. He examines you. He nods thoughtfully. And then he reaches into the white coat pocket of his medical gown and pulls out a pack of cigarettes. He lights one for himself. He offers one to you. And as he exhales a cloud of smoke, he says, with all the authority of modern science, smoke these. They are good for you. This wasn't a dystopian fantasy. This was real life in America. For decades, the most trusted figures in society, doctors, nurses, even Santa Claus, were enlisted to sell the American public on a deadly lie. This is not a story about tobacco. This is a story about the birth of modern propaganda. The story of how one man learned to sell not just soap and bacon to the masses, but disease, doubt, and death itself. And in the process, he invented the psychological toolkit that shapes everything you buy, watch, and believe today. This is the story of the man who made smoking cool and the torches of freedom that burned a nation. To understand how we got here, we have to start in an unlikely place, Vienna, Austria. In the home of the father of psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud. His nephew, a young man named Edward Bernays, was fascinated by his uncle's work, not for healing minds, but for something else entirely. He saw in Freud's theories the hidden desires, the irrational fears, the primal urges, a blueprint. A blueprint not for therapy, but for control. What if you could tap into the unconscious mind of the crowd to make them want things? Bernays moved to America and opened an office. He didn't call himself a propagandist. That word was tainted after World War I. He invented a new one, Public Relations Council. His first clients were not politicians, but corporations. They had products, soap, pianos, books. Bernays' genius was to stop selling the product itself. He sold the feeling it would give you. For a soap company, he didn't talk about cleanliness. He orchestrated a national sculpting contest for soap bars, linking their product to art and beauty. Sales skyrocketed. His most infamous early campaign was for a bacon company. The client, Beechnut, wanted to sell more bacon for breakfast. Bernays didn't take out ads. He went to the source of authority. He commissioned a scientific survey from a physician, asking if a heavier breakfast was better for health. The answer, of course, was yes. Bernays then sent this medical report to 5,000 doctors, recommending a hearty breakfast of bacon and eggs. Newspapers picked it up as health news. Bacon sales soared. Bernays proved a terrifying principle. You could use the cloak of science and authority to make people think they were making a rational choice, when you were actually pulling their psychological strings. And soon, a much bigger, much darker client would come knocking. That client was the American Tobacco Company, run by the ruthless George Washington Hill. By the 1920s, smoking was common for men. But for women, it was a social taboo, a scandal, a sign of low morals. Hill looked at half the population and saw an untapped gold mine. He gave Bernays a single, monumental challenge. Make it socially acceptable, no, desirable, for women to smoke in public. How do you break a centuries-old social stigma? Bernays didn't see a stigma. He saw an unconscious desire waiting to be unlocked. He hired a psychoanalyst, inspired, of course, by his uncle Freud, to give him a theory. The analyst said, cigarettes are symbols of male power. The penis, if you will, forbidden to women. Therefore, smoking for a woman could be a subconscious act of liberation, a torch of freedom challenging male dominance. Bernays had his angle, but he needed a spectacle. He found it in the 1929 Easter Sunday Parade in New York City, one of the most photographed events of the year. Bernays didn't hire actresses. That would be too obvious. He hired a group of young, attractive, fashionable debutantes, women from good families. He tipped off the press that these suffragettes would be making a bold statement for women's equality at the parade. He instructed the women to hide cigarettes in their clothes. At a prearranged signal, as cameras rolled, they all lit up their torches of freedom and marched down Fifth Avenue. The next day, newspapers across the country ran the story not as a paid advertisement, but as news. A social movement. Women light torches of freedom in Easter Parade. The stunt was a seismic success. Bernays had ingeniously linked smoking to the powerful, contemporary idea of women's liberation. He didn't say, smoke for your health. He said, smoke to be free, modern, and powerful. The taboo didn't just break, it shattered. Female smoking rates began a steady, dramatic climb that would last for decades. Bernays proved you could sell anything by selling an identity. But there was a lingering problem, a whisper of danger. Some physicians were starting to question tobacco's effects. To squash this, Bernays and the tobacco industry went for the ultimate authority, the medical profession itself. This is where the story moves from clever manipulation to something far more sinister. They launched massive advertising campaigns featuring doctors in white coats. The most famous tagline? More doctors smoke camels than any other cigarette. They sponsored medical conferences. They funded research that produced favorable results. They placed articles in respected journals. They even created the Tobacco Industry Research Committee, a front group designed to produce doubt and reassure the public that the science wasn't settled. At the 1930s New York World's Fair, they had a tobacco house where friendly nurses would offer you a cigarette and explain its benefits. Santa Claus in advertisements was shown enjoying a smoke. The message was omnipresent and inescapable. Smart people, trusted people, healthy people, they all smoke. They weaponized the trust America placed in its doctors and turned it into a sales pitch for a carcinogen. For a generation of Americans, the question, are cigarettes bad for you, was answered by the very people sworn to do no harm. It was a masterstroke of engineered reality. This playbook, the one Bernays wrote for tobacco, didn't stay in the boardrooms of big tobacco. It became the foundational text for modern advertising, marketing, and politics. Let's trace the steps, because you see them every single day. Step 1. Identify the unconscious desire. Don't sell the product. Sell the fulfillment of a hidden wish, freedom, sex appeal, belonging, security. Step 2. Co-opt a noble cause. Link your product to a social movement, freedom, feminism, patriotism, environmentalism. Step 3. Manufacture authority. Use experts, studies, and celebrities to create a facade of scientific or social consensus. Step 4. Create the illusion of news. Stage events that look like organic grassroots movements, not paid ads. See it in the diamond industry selling forever instead of rocks. See it in cars sold as freedom machines. See it in political campaigns that sell hope or fear, not policy. Bernays' real legacy isn't the lung cancer statistics. It's the psychological landscape of the modern world. He taught corporations and governments how to bypass our rational minds and speak directly to our insecurities and dreams. We no longer just buy products. We buy identities sold to us by architects of influence. So what happened? The House of Cards began to crumble in 1964 with the U.S. Surgeon General's landmark report definitively linking smoking to cancer. The torches of freedom had burned for 35 years. Millions were addicted. Hundreds of thousands were dead or dying. The medical profession, once its champion, became its fiercest critic in a long, painful reckoning. But the engine Bernays built didn't stop. It evolved. Today, the doctors in white coats have been replaced by influencers, algorithms, and data brokers. The Torches of Freedom parade is now a viral TikTok trend or a hashtag activism campaign sponsored by a corporation. The scientific surveys are selectively chosen data points in a social media argument. We are bathed in a constant, personalized stream of engineered consent, more sophisticated than Bernays could have ever dreamed. The story of the American smokeout that never happened is a cautionary tale. It's a reminder that the most dangerous lies aren't the ones that sound like lies. They are the ones wrapped in the flag, blessed by a doctor, or sold to you as liberation. It asks us a critical question in our age of deep fakes, filter bubbles, and micro-targeted ads. If we didn't see through the manipulation when it was as simple as a doctor offering a cigarette, what hope do we have now? Edward Bernays lived to be 103 years old. He never expressed public regret. He saw himself as a businessman, a psychologist of the marketplace. In a way, he was the most honest of all. He showed us the puppet strings. We just kept dancing. The next time you feel a sudden desire for a product, the next time you find yourself nodding along to an idea that feels perfectly tailored to you, pause. Ask, is this my thought? Or was it planted there? Who stands to profit from my belief? We can't uninvent the science of persuasion, But we can inoculate ourselves with the most powerful tool of all, the knowledge of how it works. History isn't just about learning what happened. It's about learning how we were made to believe it happened. If you want more deep dives into the hidden mechanics of our world, the secret histories of the ideas that control us, hit subscribe. Because understanding the past is the first step to seeing the present clearly. Let me know in the comments, what's a modern torch of freedom? What product or idea is sold to you as liberation today? Thanks for watching. Stay curious and think for yourself.